Welcome to Step by Step with Dr. Wafa. Today we will talk about the general organization of the nervous system. The nervous system is responsible for communication between the body and its external environment, as well as coordination among internal organs and systems. It also plays a central role in controlling and regulating all other systems in the body. The nervous system is divided structurally into the central nervous system or the CNS and the peripheral nervous system or the PNS. The term central in the central nervous system refers to the fact that it serves as the main processing center where all the incoming information from different parts of the body is interpreted and from which all the outgoing commands or orders are issued. It is composed of two parts, the brain, which is enclosed inside the skull, and the spinal cord, which is enclosed inside the vertebral canal, inside the vertebral column. The brain is a general term. Itself, it is divided into the cerebrum, the cerebellum, the brainstem, and the diencephalon. The spinal cord, from the name, it is just a cord that enclosed inside the vertebral canal. It is divided into segments, 31 segments, and from each segment we have emerging nerves. On the other hand, the peripheral nervous system refers to everything outside the brain and the spinal cord. It is divided into cranial nerves and spinal nerves. All the nerves that emerge from the brain are called the cranial nerves. They are 12 in number. Spinal nerve, they are arise from the spinal cord and they are 31 in number. This simple drawing shows us the part of the central nervous system. We have the brain and the spinal cord. Thus, this is the parts of the brain, the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the brainstem. The diencephalon, it is internal structure, so we will see it in another view. The other drawing here shows the peripheral nervous system. It includes the nerves emerging from the brain, the cranial nerves, and those emerging from the spinal cord, the spinal nerves. Now, if we took a look at the parts of the brain and the spinal cord or the peripheral nervous system in a cross section or in a different section, we will see it is composed of different colors, ranging from a dark color to a pale colors. This dark color is called the gray matter, and the white part is called the white matter. So we have two substances in the central and the peripheral nervous system. They are called the gray matter and the white matter. In order to understand from where those terms came from, we have to understand the structural unit of the brain. This is called the neuron. The neuron is a specialized cell with a long axon that is responsible for transmitting impulses between different parts of the nervous system. The neuron is composed of a cell body, which contains the nucleus inside it. It also has a short branches-like projection called the dendrites that are responsible for receiving impulses from other neurons. Then we have the axon, which is the long tail-like structure that transmits the impulse to the other neurons. The axons of most neurons are covered by a sheet called the myelin sheath, and it is white in color. So whenever we see cell bodies, it will be dark in color, which refers to as the gray matter. The axon in the opposite side will be the white matter because they are covered by the white myelin sheath. Now let us see this drawing represent different sections from the brain and the spinal cord. The first one represents a coronal section of the cerebrum. In the outside of the cerebrum or the outer part, this is called the cortex, and the inner part is called the medulla, and this applies to any organ in the body. The outer part is a cortex and the inner part is the medulla. The outer part of the cerebrum, which is called the cortex, it is gray in color, so it is the gray matter which represents the cell bodies. The medulla of the brain, it is white in color, so it represents the white matter. And as we mentioned, the white matter represents the axons, which is covered by the white myelin sheath. The other section here, which is a cross section of the brain, also show us the outer part of the cerebrum, which is the gray matter, represent the cerebral cortex, and then it will be the cell bodies. In the inner part, we have the medulla, white matter, and it is the axons of those neurons. Inside the white matter of the medulla, we can see there is a structure that is gray in color, and this is also called the basal nuclei or the diencephalon. So both of them represent gray matter inside the medulla, which is white matter. So the basal nuclei and the diencephalon represent the cell bodies. Now let's look at the cross section of the spinal cord. The arrangement of the gray and white matter in the spinal cord is opposite to that of the cerebrum. We will find the gray matter in the middle of the spinal cord forming H-shaped structure, while the white matter surrounding it. Now we need to understand another concept, which is the collection of cell bodies or axons. Both of them, they have different names in the peripheral nervous system and the central nervous system. So a collection of cell bodies inside the central nervous system, it is called the nuclei, and an example of this one is the basal nuclei. A collection of cell bodies in the peripheral nervous system, it is called the ganglion, and an example for this, it is the sympathetic ganglion near the spinal cord. We will see this in a different video. Now in the opposite side, we have the collection of the axons, which is the white matter. In the central nervous system, this is referred to as the lemniscus or the tract. But in the peripheral nervous system, this is referred to as the nerve. This is the usual nerves that we know it, the cranial nerves and the spinal nerve. This is the part that you can touch by your hand in the cadaver or in the living organ. Now that we have understood the general structural divisions of the nervous system, let's move on to discuss its functional division. Functionally, the nervous system is usually divided into two main parts, the sensory or the afferent division and the motor or the efferent division. As the name suggests, the sensory division is responsible for gathering information from both the external environment and from within our bodies. This includes input from receptors in the skin, vision, hearing, and internal organs such as the heart and the digestive system. The sensory nerves carry this information to the central nervous system for processing. In the central nervous system, we have specific parts responsible for receiving the sensory information, and from there will be interpretation of this information and it will be transmitted or translated to an orders. These commands are then sent back through the peripheral nervous system to carry out the appropriate response. So imagine I saw an apple and I want to hold it by my hand. So the information will go through my visual field or from my eyes to the central nervous system, and there will be the interpretation of the information, and order will go or come from my brain again to the muscles of my hand, and there will be the movement or the motor part. Now the motor part itself is divided into two parts. If this order is going to a voluntary organ like my muscles, like my eyes, like the thing that I can control, this is called the somatic. So the information that is going or the orders that is going to the voluntary part, it is somatic nervous system. On the other hand, when these signals are directed to involuntary parts of the body, such as the heart, the digestive system, and other functions beyond conscious control, it is known as the autonomic nervous system. Now, the autonomic nervous system itself is divided into two parts. One of them is called the sympathetic, and the other is called the parasympathetic. So imagine you are walking outside, the weather is nice and you are relaxing, and then suddenly you saw a tiger. So what will happen to your body in response to that? First, your eyes will dilate because you want to look far away for a shelter. So this is called the pupil dilation. Then your heart rate will increase because you need more blood to supply your muscle. The blood will be shifted from the digestive system and from the renal system toward the muscular system, because you need either to run away from this tiger or fight this tiger. So you need the muscles. Also, your respiratory rate will increase because you need more oxygen to supply these muscles. So, in total, this is called the fight or flight response. Now, imagine you are sitting in a coffee shop enjoying a cup of coffee while reading a book, feeling completely relaxed. What will happen to your eyes? They will be constricted because you will look at the book, which is the near vision. What will happen to your heart rate? It will decrease because you don't need a lot of blood. What will happen to your respiratory rate? It also will decrease because you don't need too much oxygen. What will happen to the blood supply? It will go to the digestive organ instead of the muscle. So this is in total called the parasympathetic or rest and digest system. We will discuss that in more details in the following videos. And by this we end our video about the general organization of the nervous system. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.